Kira pressed her pointed ears flat against her crimson hair as she slipped through the partially open window. The apartment belonged to a human named Adrian, a 28-year-old photographer she'd been observing for weeks from the rooftops. Tonight, curiosity had finally overwhelmed caution. Her golden eyes adjusted to the dimness, taking in the chaos of his studio apartment. Camera equipment littered every surface, photographs pinned haphazardly to walls, and the warm scent of sandalwood incense mixed with something distinctly human, cologne and coffee. Kira's tail swished nervously as she padded across the hardwood floor, her bare feet silent. In her world, humans were studied from afar, their habits documented but never experienced. Elder foxes warned that getting too close meant losing objectivity, losing the mystery that kept their kind safe. But Adrian fascinated her. She'd watched him through windows for 3 months, the way he'd gesture wildly while editing photos at 2 a.m., how he'd dance badly to music only he could hear, the gentle way he'd feed stray cats despite being allergic. A sudden whir made her jump. A robotic vacuum had activated, spinning in circles before charging straight at her. Kira yelped and leaped onto his desk, knocking over a precarious tower of memory cards that clattered like digital rain. What the? She froze. Adrian stood in the bedroom doorway, shirtless, hair disheveled from sleep. Their eyes locked, his deep brown ones widening with shock, her golden ones reflecting the laptop's blue glow. For a moment, neither moved. Kira's heart hammered against her ribs. No human had ever seen her true form. Her disguise magic had failed in her panic, leaving her ears, tail, and fox-like features fully visible. You're the fox I keep seeing on the roof," Adrian whispered, stepping closer slowly, as if approaching a wild animal. Which, Kira supposed, she technically was. "Stay back," she warned, her voice shakier than intended. But her legs trembled, from fear or something else, she wasn't certain. "Your tail is caught in my printer cable," he said gently, pointing. Kira glanced down. Sure enough, she'd tangled herself while jumping. Heat flooded her cheeks as she tried to extract herself, only managing to pull the entire printer toward the desk edge. Adrian moved quickly, catching the printer with one hand and carefully unwinding the cable from her tail with the other. His touch was surprisingly gentle, his fingers warm against her fur. "There," he said softly, not letting go immediately. "Are you hurt?" "No," Kira breathed, acutely aware of how close he stood, the heat radiating from his bare chest, the way his thumb unconsciously stroked the base of her tail. A sensation she'd never experienced before rippled through her, electric, disorienting, decidedly pleasant. "Good," Adrian murmured. "Now, want to tell me why a mystical fox girl is breaking into my apartment?" "I wasn't breaking in," Kira protested, pulling away from his touch with effort. Her tail swished indignantly. The window was open. "That's basically an invitation." "That's literally not how invitations work," Adrian said, but his lips curved into an amused smile. He grabbed a t-shirt from a nearby chair and pulled it on, though Kira found herself oddly disappointed by the coverage. She straightened, trying to regain some dignity. "I've been studying humans." "You specifically. Your behavior patterns are unusual." "You've been studying me?" His eyebrows rose. "That's either flattering or deeply concerning. You dance when you think no one's watching. You talk to your plants. Kira took a step forward to emphasize her point, but the room suddenly tilted violently. She stumbled, grabbing for the desk, but her legs refused to cooperate properly. "Whoa!" Adrian caught her around the waist as she nearly fell. "Easy there." "Something's wrong," Kira gasped. The floor felt unstable, reality itself seeming to warp around her. "The gravity here, it's all wrong." "Gravity is fine. You're just," he paused, studying her. "When's the last time you ate? Or drank water?" Kira tried to remember. Time moved differently in her realm. "This morning? Maybe yesterday? Yesterday, Adrian repeated flatly. He guided her carefully to his couch, one arm still secure around her waist. You broke into someone's apartment while malnourished. Brilliant plan. The couch was softer than anything in her world, and Kira found herself sinking into it gratefully. The room continued its lazy spin, but Adrian's presence beside her felt anchoring. He returned moments later with water and a bowl of strawberries. Small bites, he instructed, settling beside her with an ease that suggested he often cared for dizzy foxgirls. Which he obviously didn't, but his natural caretaking instinct touched something in her chest. Kira bit into a strawberry, and flavor exploded across her tongue, sweeter and more vibrant than anything from her realm. She made an involuntary sound of pleasure. Good? Adrian asked, watching her with an intensity that made her skin prickle. Incredible, she whispered. Their eyes met, and suddenly the room's spinning had nothing to do with low blood sugar. He reached up, his fingers hovering near her ear. May I? Kira nodded, unable to speak. He touched the soft fur of her ear gently, exploring its texture with reverent curiosity. She shivered, her tail curling against his thigh. Your ears are sensitive, he observed, his voice dropping lower. Very, Kira admitted breathlessly. We don't usually let anyone touch them. Why did you let me? She met his gaze directly. I don't know. Everything about you confuses me. Adrian smiled, slow, warm, dangerous. Good. Because you're the most confusing thing that's ever happened to me, and I photograph weird things for a living. Adrian's phone buzzed loudly on the coffee table, shattering the charged moment. Kira jumped, her tail puffing out in alarm, which somehow triggered his smart home system. Activating party mode, a mechanical voice announced cheerfully. Colored lights began strobing throughout the apartment. Music, aggressive electronic dance music, blasted from hidden speakers. The robotic vacuum emerged from under the couch like a circular demon, spinning in rhythmic circles. No, no, no. Adrian lunged for his phone while Kira scrambled backward on the couch, disoriented by the sensory assault. Her magic flared instinctively, defensive, and suddenly small objects began floating, pens, memory cards, a potted succulent. How are you doing that? Adrian shouted over the music, simultaneously trying to deactivate the light show and dodge a floating camera lens. I'm not trying to. Kira's eyes glowed golden with uncontrolled power. The stress of being discovered combined with her weakened state had destabilized her magic completely. Adrian finally killed the music, but the lights continued their disco inferno. A book flew past his head. Okay, we need to calm you down. Can you breathe? Deep breaths? I can't. Kira tried to stand, but the room was genuinely defying gravity now, her magic warping the space. She toppled sideways, and Adrian caught her again, pulling her against his chest. I've got you, he murmured into her hair, his voice steady despite the chaos. One hand cradled the back of her head while the other wrapped around her waist, holding her firmly grounded. Focus on my heartbeat. Just my heartbeat. Kira pressed her ear against his chest, hearing the strong, steady rhythm beneath his ribs. It was faster than it should be, he wasn't as calm as he sounded, but its consistency gave her something to anchor to. Slowly, the floating objects began descending. The lights finally stopped their frantic dance. Her magic retreated back under her skin like a tide pulling back from shore. Better? Adrian asked softly, though he didn't loosen his hold. Kira nodded against his chest, breathing in his scent, coffee, sandalwood, and something uniquely him. I'm sorry. I've never lost control like that. Hey. He tilted her chin up gently, meeting her eyes. You're in a strange place, exhausted, and you thought gravity was attacking you. I think you're handling it remarkably well. His thumb brushed across her cheek, and Kira realized she was trembling, but not from fear anymore. The way he looked at her, protective and fascinated in equal measure, made something flutter wildly in her stomach. "Why aren't you afraid of me?" she whispered. Adrian smiled crookedly. "Why would I be afraid of someone who trips over printer cables and gets bullied by my Roomba?" Despite everything, Kira laughed, a genuine, surprised sound. "I'm supposed to be mysterious and intimidating." "You're definitely mysterious," he agreed, leaning closer. "But intimidating? Not so much." As dawn began painting the sky pale pink, Kira found herself curled on Adrian's couch, wrapped in his favorite blanket while he showed her his photography portfolio on his laptop. "This one," he explained, pulling up an image of an elderly woman laughing in her kitchen, "took 3 weeks to capture. I visited her every day, just talking, until she forgot I had a camera." Kira studied the photograph intently. In her world, art was formal, prescribed, magical. But this, capturing a genuine moment of human joy, felt like a different kind of magic entirely. Why this moment specifically? See her hands? Adrian zoomed in slightly. Flower everywhere, wedding ring catching the light, recipe card from her late husband in the corner. That laugh? She was remembering teaching him to bake 50 years ago. One moment containing an entire love story. His passion was palpable, and Kira found herself leaning into his shoulder, their bodies naturally settling together. "We don't have this in my world." "This, capturing of time. What do you have?" Adrian asked, genuinely curious. His arm had somehow found its way around her shoulders. "Structure. Tradition. Rules about what magic should be used for." Kira gestured at the floating photographs pinned to his walls, each one chaotic, candid, utterly human. "Nothing like this beautiful mess." "Beautiful mess," Adrian repeated, smiling. "That's humanity in a nutshell." He clicked to another photo, a young couple kissing in the rain, completely soaked and laughing. "We're disorganized and emotional and we eat strawberries at 3 a.m. because they taste good." "Why do you feed the stray cats when you're allergic?" Kira asked suddenly. Adrian looked surprised by the question. "Because they're hungry, and I can help. Sometimes it's that simple." Kira turned to face him fully, tucking her legs beneath her. "Nothing is simple in my world. Everything has layers of meaning and consequence and political implications." "Sounds exhausting," Adrian said softly. His hand came up to tuck a strand of crimson hair behind her ear, the fox ear, which twitched at his touch. "For what it's worth, I'm glad you broke into my apartment." "You are?" Kira's heart raced as his hand lingered near her face. "Absolutely. Most interesting thing that's happened to me in years." His thumb traced along her jawline. "Though I should probably be more concerned about the whole mystical being studying me through windows thing." "Probably," Kira agreed breathlessly. The air between them felt charged, electric. "I should go. Dawn is breaking, and if my elders discover—" "Stay," Adrian interrupted quietly. "Just a little longer. Please." Kira knew she should refuse. Every law of her kind demanded she leave, forget this night, return to proper observation from a proper distance. Instead, she found herself nodding. "A little longer," she whispered, even as Adrian's fingers threaded through her hair and her tail curled possessively around his wrist. Morning light flooded the apartment fully now, making Adrian's collection of crystals cast rainbow patterns across the walls. Kira watched them dance, mesmerized, while Adrian made coffee in his tiny kitchen. "So," he called over the sound of grinding beans, "do mystical fox beings drink coffee, or is that too mundane?" "I don't know," Kira admitted. "I've never tried." Adrian emerged with 2 mugs, settling beside her on the couch, closer than strictly necessary. "Then you're in for an experience. Fair warning, it's terrible for you and absolutely addictive." Kira accepted the mug, their fingers brushing. The coffee was bitter and overwhelming and somehow perfect. Everything here is so intense. Yeah. Adrian set his mug down, turning to face her fully. Everything? His meaning was clear, and Kira's pulse quickened. Adrian, I shouldn't, my kind doesn't. Your kind has a lot of rules, he observed, his hand finding hers. But you broke most of them tonight already. What's one more? Kira laughed, surprising herself. That's terrible logic. It's great logic, Adrian countered, lifting her hand and pressing a kiss to her knuckles, his eyes never leaving hers. Tell me to stop. She should. She absolutely should. Instead, Kira leaned forward, closing the distance between them. I can't walk straight, remember? Gravity's all wrong here. Then stop trying to walk, Adrian murmured against her lips. The kiss was gentle at first, tentative, exploratory. Then Kira made a soft sound of pleasure, and Adrian's control snapped. His hand cupped the back of her neck, fingers tangling in her hair, while her tail wrapped around his waist, pulling him closer. They broke apart only when breathing became necessary, foreheads resting together. I'm supposed to return to my realm, Kira whispered. File a report about human behavior patterns. Forget all this. Will you? Adrian asked quietly. Kira met his eyes, warm brown meeting mystical gold. In them, she saw everything that had fascinated her about humanity distilled into one person: kindness without expectation, curiosity without judgment, the courage to reach for connection despite fear. No, she said firmly. I don't think I will. Adrian smiled, that slow, dangerous smile that made her heart stutter. Good. Because I'm not done showing you shocking human behaviors yet. Oh? Kira raised an eyebrow. Like what? Like breakfast for dinner. Singing in the shower. The way humans care for each other even when it's complicated. His hand traced down her arm, leaving trails of electricity. Especially when it's complicated. Kira kissed him again, deeper this time, her decision made. Let the elders disapprove. Let the rules break. She'd come seeking to understand humanity and found something far more precious, someone who saw her chaos and called it beautiful. Show me everything, she breathed against his lips. And as the city woke outside his window, Adrian did exactly that.